Good evening, everybody. Clearly, I think I'm almost 3 hours late, actually. This is around the time that I'd be wrapping up. So I had a detour today. I absolutely made a choice on that, but it started snowing, and it was actually very nice to see outside my office window. Considerably less nice once I actually got outside and realized how cold it was. It did warm up a little bit over the evening, but there are some people who really like to see snow. So um, I have now learned the limits of my phone battery, which I think was one of the things that kept me from being able to do some more snowy walks back when Periscope was a thing. Um, I'm gonna try some plans around that, um, and then I did have my tablet with me, so I actually tried to use the tablet. Now the image quality didn't seem to be as good, which is funny because I thought there was an equivalent or possibly even better camera inside the tablet because my phone's a little older. Um, but it maybe it didn't have the settings. Like once you have bare hands outside, I tried to put my gloves on, but it wasn't really working with it. Um, Past a certain point, the dexterity that you have in minus double digits really isn't quite quite what it should be. So I did my best. I really wish I had a better video. Like, it would have been nice if I just did my usual thing, which is to sort of walk around and show off the nice winter wonderland. But I had to pack it in early, even with the diminished image quality, just because there was a certain point where there was this very thin layer of ice all around my iPad, and it actually froze and reset. So I was like, this is a little too precious to mess with on this sort of stuff. I think it's fine. I think it was purely coincidental that happened. But yeah, so that was my misadventure. I don't know. It was worth doing. It was one thing I actually really like about it is I am a little bit of a wimp when it comes to the cold. Part of that's actually my winter, like the jacket that I commonly wear. I do have a slightly nicer one, but the one I'm wearing right now, like the zipper's been broken for about a year, so I can't actually properly zip it up. But yeah, I'm a little bit of a baby when it comes to the cold, and I definitely like walking and thinking things through. That's something I really remember a lot about in Vancouver, actually. But I tend to find that when it's snowy out, and especially when I'm trying to do something and it's not like working for one reason or another, it's very easy for me to start like having these sort of cascading failures. So like I'll step into some ankle deep snow, and then I've got a bit of snow in my shoe, so now my socks are starting to get a bit cold and wet. I'll bring wool socks next time it's snowing. And like, it's obviously, if things aren't working out as planned, it's a little easier to get flustered, and then all of a sudden I'm sort of like, ooh, I still have like 45 minutes to walk home. So it was I was a bit of a ridiculous figure today, but I'm glad that I did it, because I will say, even though I'm a big baby about it, there are some parts of the city, and sadly some of it is closed off because of construction, but there are really some parts of the city that look quite special with some fresh snow. So I was able to at least capture a couple of them. Zorog, how are you doing tonight? I think those are new emotes. I really like it looks like a mouse. And what's the other one? So that's a prosciutto fist one, but I don't think I've ever seen that one before. I think it's prosciutto fist anyway. Anyways, as always, lovely to see you, Zorog. I hope you are doing well. We are here. So, I will confess, I definitely intend to do a stream on Wednesday. Now, it may be at a different hour, although, of course, streaming close to the finish time on Monday might also be considered an unusual hour. And I would, if I can, like to read a story. That's usually been how it works. The catch here is that I am not entirely sure what my schedule is looking like. And on top of that, I have 2 candidate stories. However, I have not actually made sure that I have access to them. I think I do, but I'm sort of realizing the limits that I have on my time and on sort of my ability to get all this stuff done within the next couple of days. So my commitment to you is to do a stream. I am going to do my best to do some kind of story, and hopefully one that, hopefully one that sort of fits a Christmas theme. I respect the hours. They're currently in charge. Zrock, I'm trying to remember if you came here for... I think you came here for Book of Hours. Because you seem to know a lot about the Secret History setting, but for some reason I seem to think you might have come through Prosciutto Fistry. But then I guess Prosciutto Fist's done Book of Hours as well. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to remember. I always keep associating you with Pro's channel, but because you know this game quite well, and obviously Pro doesn't know anything about it. That's not what I meant. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know. Anyways, it's always a delight to see you in her place or mine. But yeah, in any case, so whatever whatever we wind up doing for Christmas, I will do a broadcast. I will try and put on a good broadcast, but I'm going to make sure that getting online is step number 1. Step number 2 will be to sort of sort out what I am doing. So, okay, cool. Sorry, I'm glad. Like I said, it's not a it's not a major concern, but I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you do. So between the two of us, what we need to do now is we just need to conduct an extended campaign of psychological warfare to finally get her to go further than these rooms in the house. We'll work it out. That'll be our New Year's resolution. But yeah, in any case, like I said, we'll be streaming Christmas. I will do my best to find out when that is, and then on top of that, I will try to... sorry. I'll try to... words. I'll try to do a story, but if I can't, I will... I'll try and work out something worthy of your time, let's say. Okay, now, if I remember correctly, we had committed some... We may have actually gone all the way. Yes, we do have all of our 9s. Okay, so... I had a couple of tasks. Actually, did I... Let me just double check where my... my list of things is. Okay. Revive Snow, how you doing? Tea time and tree time. Actually, I have a coffee in front of me, which is probably ill-advised given the hour, but lovely to see you. I'm curious if you'd ever try this game, Snow. I realize there's a lot of reading to it, but let me just take a quick minute here. I know it's a little premature, but I'll try and send another shout out on stream. But actually, I've been very happy to see Revive Snow in chat a little bit more often, because I know our hours don't always, excuse me, don't always line up. But Revive Snow is somebody who I originally found through Brace Yourself Games' Phantom Brigade. Wonderful game, and a really nice, just a very nice broadcaster overall, very friendly, and also a fellow Canadian, so I'm always delighted to sort of shout out some fellow Canadians. But again, has a very unique stream in the sense of being able to really engage with an audience with a VTuber avatar and text-to-speech. But one of the things that's been a real pleasure of the channel is not just being able to sort of follow it and engage with that. I know I kind of talk about that. I get to talk about that all the time. But I think one of the things that's a real joy about following a streamer for a while is to be able to watch their development. So I've seen a few different sort of maybe the same avatar for Revive Snow, but I've seen just sort of a few different iterations of the style, and it's been really interesting to see some of the VR games with with like with the VTuber avatar. So I, you know, again, it's neat to sort of see these other things. I realize that it's not like I always kind of feel that the personality and the individual behind the stream is going to be the reason why you hang out and you know, and spend time on a stream. And that you don't want to, like, one of the reasons why I don't want to spend too much time talking about what I don't really want to call gimmicks, because I do actually really like watching Snow stream, but something that, at least for me, I'm sort of like, oh wow, that's neat. I haven't seen somebody try and do that in terms of broadcasting. And again, when that is combined with a personality that is pleasant to be around, it gives me at least a chance to sort of see some games that I never otherwise would. Because the only time I've ever played a VR game would be in a demo at sort of some kind of a developers meetup or something like that. And you know, it is nice to be able to watch people try some stuff that I haven't experienced, whether it's VR or not. It's really nice to be able to sort of see people try some things that I might be interested in as well. So in any case, a good reason to check out Snow. And I'm actually happy. So obviously, I know it's terrible to say to a streamer, I'm happy you're not streaming more, but I'm actually happy that you're actually getting to spend some time for yourself, because I know, like, 3 times a week, even with my current schedule, right, I'm really struggling with the start times. But I always sort of feel that the time that you take off, whether or not it's you know, you're deliberately setting aside those times. Like, so for me, it's usually the Canadian holidays that I choose to keep to myself. There can be a couple of other ways of handling it, but I always sort of feel that that time that you invest in yourself is a chance to sort of refill the well. You know, it's kind of the same way that if I don't take that time off, it's not even just a question of energy, but I still feel this. Like, there are some things that I would rather do with my time that I'm not. But like taking the time to read some books, and like not just any books, right? But just weird stuff that has no direct connection with the stuff that I'm doing on the stream. Because in the end, that always winds up being the thing that inspires oh, wait a minute, did you know about ... And then you wait a little bit, and all of a sudden something truly wonderful just happens to come up. I actually had a moment a little bit like this where one of the people watching YouTube said that they are an actual genuine librarian in Cornwall. So could you imagine, right? That's a pretty narrow set of circumstances, and there is a game that quite literally is your profession. And it does turn out actually that they had played. I asked, so like, had you heard of The Secret Histories before Book of Hours, or did your profession bring you to this? And apparently they were familiar with Cultist Simulator. Don't necessarily consider themselves. I'm paraphrasing here. I probably should bring up the comment, but yeah. So they mentioned that they don't really consider themselves a gamer, but Cultist Simulator seemed interesting. And then Book of Hours came out, which of course is much more relaxed and the game that is, again, quite literally what they do for a living. I mean, maybe it's not an occult library, but that's good fun. I mean, like, basically, unless you're like a soldier or a CEO or maybe an astronaut, I'm trying to think of examples where you have like spot on the job that you have in real life. So I don't know. I thought that was a lot of fun to see. But yeah, so you never know where something fun is going to come in the real world. And so I always sort of feel that time where you can, especially if you're sort of accepting subscription fees or something like that, it's always nice to give people as much notice as possible about your your plans to take some time off. That way they can sort of decide whether or not they're I don't know, getting their money's worth, for lack of a better term. But I do think it is important where you can to take that time to get the I don't know, just like get remind yourself why you're doing this stuff. Even if you do streaming for a job, right? We do jobs so that we can support things that we value. Anyways, right. I did find the. Sorry, that was such such a long riff off of taking some breaks. I hope you find it restful, Snow, and I hope you have. I don't know how things are where you are, but it was not ridiculously cold by the end. But we've got a nice fresh layer of snow here. It actually looks very pretty. It just a little cold for me when I was trying to record things. Okay, so I do have some alternatives. So the ones that were definitely going to be committed to certain branches. So Doran Wall. Well, wait, we already committed that, didn't we? All right, I'm going to take a second here and just double check these. So putrefactions and calcinations. Okay, not in there. Pearl and Tide. Oh, hell. I probably put Pearl and Tide in one of the other. Yep, there it is. Okay, so Pearl and Tide was going to go to Nyctodromy, it looks like. Nyctodromy 3. I'm going to start putting checks beside these things. So Ragged Crossroads was going to go to Illumination. Now, I have a few layers for Illumination. 6 is the current highest. I think I was also going to commit an element of the soul to... Or sorry, a language to... yeah, I'm pretty sure I was going to put Crack Track in the Illumination Wisdom. Okay. So let me work this out. So for... So 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. So we've got 4 slots and 5 skills. Sorry, did I say it the other way around? We've got more slots than skills to commit, so we can technically put something into each slot in Illumination if I want. Now, for Preservation, the only one that can go into Preservation, excuse me, would be Crack Track, it looks like. I guess I'm not going to be able to find out what that does until I have a lesson to commit to it, so let's just leave that aside. I'm going to weakly prefer... Why did I say Sand Story should go to Birdsong? I'm assuming it has something to do with the lesson it gives me, but... So I realize I probably spent some time looking at this on Friday, but... Okay, so that gives me Trist. Why do I need more Trist, though? Looks like I do need it, actually. Skolakosophy would give me more Shopped. Okay, so I'm going to say a weak preference for Birdsong then. So as a hypothetical, so Ragged Crossroads, let's say we put that in illumination. Oh, sorry, that has to go into illumination. Auroral Contemplations, so that also gives me a Faust. So, right, and Nyctodromy's taken up, so these aren't even really options. Okay, so I get one more metal from... Okay. Sorry, I realize this is not the most exciting. But I'm going to be putting some time into leveling these up, so... Okay. So it seems to me like the two that are unaccounted for right now... Yeah, so the funny thing here, Zerog, the thing I'm really concerned about here is just I want to make sure that I don't unintentionally shut myself out of a branch. So the way that Nyctodromy is going to work out, Ragged Crossroads doesn't have any options. Same with Auroral Contemplations, Disciplines of the Hammer, and then Pearl and Tide is going to be the last one that sort of jams into Nyctodromy. Now that's all fine because all of these are Illumination or Nyctodromy, so no loss. We've got plenty of space inside of Illumination. But I did kind of want to be... I wanted to be certain on that before I committed things. So in the case of Sand Stories, for instance, I should have plenty of space both for Birdsong and Skolakosophy, and I'm preferring Birdsong just because of the item or the element that it gets me. Okay. Where were we? Okay, so Lockworks and Clockworks, I don't think I worked out where that was supposed to go. So we have the options of Ithistry. So that'll give me another Whist. And I think we are drowning in Whist right now. So 10, at least 12. So then the alternative would be Skolakosophy, which would get me another Shaft. I think probably that Skolakosophy makes a little more sense. And then Putrefactions and Calcinations. Okay, so Arab, which I'm okay with. Yeah, okay. So probably a couple of Skolakosophy in this case. So the last thing that I want to work out, and I technically don't need to hold off committing things to the Tree of Wisdoms if I do this, but the total count that I see here, so let's leave Crack Track aside because that one's just going to get to a level 2 no matter what. So for the Illumination, we have Ragged Crossroads, Auroral Contemplations, and Disciplines of the Hammer. So that would be 6, 5, and 4. There's no rule saying that I have to put them at the highest level. The only reason I want to do that is it gives me something to sort of direct my reading towards. Whereas if I don't put any thought into that, I'm just gonna flail around. Now, if I'm committing 2 to Skolakosophy, the only ones left would be 4 and 3. Now, if I commit Sand Stories to Birdsong, that would be 4. Now, technically for Ithistry, it would be 4 as well. So it would actually, I can make the exact same decision that I do with Skolokosophy, which feels okay. Oh, is that it? 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's it. Okay, so I guess the question now is, how high can I get these things? So I did put a priority in here saying level up Ragged Crossroads. And then it says level up Auroral Contemplations. I'm assuming that's because of the Inks of Revelation. And then it says that weaving and not working is free. Now, it did make a note here on resurgences and emergences, but I can't see why I would do that because that's already committed. So I suppose the question here would be, out of all of the things that have Heart and Moth, which of the also-rans are available? Aha, that's why. So probably because I haven't... Yeah. Okay. I see the problem. Okay, yeah, now I remember. So the idea here is that I can't use this to get any of the things that would level up the... Sorry. So I'm looking to commit the last things to the Tree of Wisdoms, but specifically here with Resurgences and Emergences, what I was doing was I was raising the floor. So... Yeah, I know they can be. It's just I'm not subjecting people to that long of a I'm not subjecting people to that long of a playthrough. I'm already havering on too many of these choices. Also, Snow, I didn't see the comment. You spent the afternoon tubing down Ski Hill. That would have been delightful. I'm assuming you're never going to do like a live stream for something like that, but that would have been really fun. I have not gone like crazy carpeting or inner tubing down a ski hill or any hill in quite some time, but I loved it. Okay, I have a game plan now. We are talking with Mr. Kill, which is good. We're making money. I guess the only other thing would be, do I want to try and commit things to the Tree of Wisdoms? Looks like we've already got what we need for Elements of the Soul, so I think I'm okay doing that. Again, apologies for the time that took. I needed to get my head straight. Sorry, just 1 second here. All right. One last thing before I hit on pause. I need to wrap myself up in a blanket. Only took me half an hour to figure it all out. We're off to a great start. I do also have a note here to start the salon, but I think I'm going to focus on the lessons first. I also think I'm going to, like, any of the books that I read that are relevant to the leveling up, I'm going to hang on to, but I don't think I'm going to read any books to get new lessons for today. I think I'm going to make that a tomorrow thing. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? Although, actually, what I will do for guests... What was I gonna do? Yeah, so we had a dinner with Azita, Morgan, and Serena. Um, I don't know if I'm ready to finish this one yet. So let's change it up. It's going to be Douglas and Aaron Peel. But this time I think I'm going to invite everyone who has like a really high requirement to be invited. It's going to be a team of elite people. Or actually, I guess I did the team of elite people plus Douglas. Maybe what I'll do now is like the prole meeting. So if I do it this time, we could do Douglas. Eason Agdistis. There's a lot of threes actually, so yeah, it's actually harder to bring bring threes in. Okay, but that's fine. Let's I will bring Aaron in. And sure, we'll bring in Serena. So these would be Moon for Aaron. Douglas wants Lantern. Eason Fekri, I believe, has Moon for food and then Sky for drink. Agdistis, I feel, is Sky, but I want to double check that. Heart. So I guess the good news is that Heart is quite an easy one to put together. And presumably Serena is Forge, but I want to double check that. Yeah, Forge. Okay. So I've got some basics to work with now. So I feel like Stargazy Pi is the right one to start off with. Sorry, just give me a second here. Okay. I'm trying to bring up my spreadsheets and all of that. This is the thing that sucks about starting late. I'm always a bit of a shambles. Okay. So let's say we already said that we're going to do... Well, I guess it would be any kind of fish suppers, but I feel like a Stargazy Pie is a good good option here. So Stargazy. Now, Aaron also needs something with Moon, so I could do... That's the main course taken care of. The baked pear meringue would be our pudding. Or we could do... You know, it really does feel appropriate that we put as much fish as we can on an Eason dinner. So perhaps we can do... So the pickled mackerel or pickled pilchards. I feel like we can't do. I feel like we can't do pilchards twice. That'd be a little unusual. We could also poach the mackerel, which would count as a first course. Sure, let's do poached mackerel. Let's see if we can maybe do some kind of theme behind this sort of stuff. So we've got the poached mackerel, we've got the stargazy pie. Now lantern's probably going to be the next difficult one for us to work with. So, and it's worth recalling here that as far as our moon is concerned, let me just bring that back. I believe for the yeah, so Stargazy Pie is main course. Actually, the Kedgeree would also be an option for... Kedgeree would... Oh, yeah, actually, Kedgeree is a good idea. So egg and mackerel in this case. So that's the first course in the main course. Which would, let me, if I just recall, so, wait, first course, first dish? The hell was I thinking? There we go. So it's the puddings and the side dishes that I'm currently looking at. So yeah, we're limited in terms of options here if I just won't want to focus on puddings and if I just want to focus on the puddings and the side dishes. If I want to allow for everything, we can add the stuffed golden marrow, which also counts as a first in this main course. I'm not opposed to that, but let's see. We can do a knot cake or a Madeira cake. I'm just trying to think if either of those hits. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, I suppose also the Cornish honey cake. Yeah, you know what? Cornish honey cake. Okay, so that leaves us for heart. Now, this is the nice thing about leaving heart as the last one is you get to like that's the easiest one to sort out in terms of items. So we're specifically looking for a side dish here. Actually, I could also just I could make forge the other priority, I suppose. So for heart, essentially everything but almonds. So for side dish, oh, the pickled mackerel and pickled pilchards are options too. Okay, so I really feel like we got to go with that as the only catch is that I don't think there's a forge with the fish that works. Okay, I got it. So we're gonna do. We're definitely gonna do pickled. I think pickled mackerels. The one I'm gonna go for. But as the other side dish, I'm gonna go for game chips so that we can have fish and chips. That's my theme, and then we'll work out all the other details later. Sorry, I don't mean to do all the writing on the... I don't mean to do all the writing on the stream. I just gotta wrap up one thing and then we'll be good to go. Okay, that's my last digression, and I am sorry about this. Okay, so now I actually need to implement all this stuff. So if I'm going to be doing the Cornish honey cake, I suppose I'll need some cake batter. We did get a bunch of flour, which I should put to work here. Pulverized grains, bread's precursor. But did I get butter? Kind of an important part of the formula. Oh, I'm a clown. Or maybe I'm already ordering it. I better be ordering it, otherwise I'm gonna lose it. Okay, Kedgeree it is. We should have some eggs kicking around. An egg. There we go. Make mackerel Kedgeree. Stargazy pie needs dough. So obviously butter isn't my only option, but that's what I'm going to focus on. Pickled mackerel, though, as long as I've got some booze, I definitely have some booze, so make pickled mackerel. And the game chips, we definitely have the dripping. The only question is whether or not I have I do have potatoes. Okay, cool. So we'll probably use the metal for this, just so I can spread the elements of the soul around. So I don't think the almonds are what I want. Here we go. Oh, I've already got some pickled mackerel kicking around. All right, so magnificent roast potatoes are nice, but what we really want are the game chips, a dish with edge, forge, heart, and knock. All right, so that gives me a start until we've got the butter. If it turns out that I wasn't ordering butter, that's a little bit of a shame, but we'll still work on it. thought that was the last of the typing I was doing. Sorry. Okay. So, we are ready to unpause. I'm just trying to think of some ways that I can... The other thing I want to do is bring Corso into the fold, but I think probably the way that I can handle... Hey! Catering Hero! Wonderful. This will maybe throw me for a loop in terms of leveling up the various skills, but... Alright, rest and refreshment. Autumn, better now. So, let's open up the delivery from Catering Hero, unwrap, unbox, unleash. So that, like I said, is going to put us 30 seconds behind, but we've got plenty of time during the day. I'm hoping that this is going to be the butter. If it isn't, then I'm going to cry a little bit, but I'll get over it. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales? Well, who'd listen? Just trying to think who... Yeah, you know, we'll just wait on the... We'll wait on these to finish. I think... Actually, we're not going to be waiting too much longer to do the unpacking. We may actually be done at the same time. Almost, but... Okay, Glimmerings, an anonymous prison diary written by a dreamer convicted of oniric irresponsibility and confined to the Cucurbit. The prisoner is plainly terrified and bewildered by their situation, and has been unable to wrangle a coherent explanation out of anyone, but the dreams keep coming, and they keep writing them down. Snow, broken mirrors, half-heard sky music, flowers of white, red, and black, a blood-streaked winter dawn, the most notorious signifiers of oniric risk, fantastically vivid and detailed. No wonder they were locked up. Their final recorded dream is of a worm jewel beneath Brankrug Isle, which they open with a key carved from their finger bone. So, obviously I wish I had more sources for bittersweet certainty, but we'll get familiar with that book. De Bellis Murorum, an 18th century epic poem by the pseudonymous Solipstos. The poem elliptically describes a war between beasts, weather phenomena, and arcane concepts. It's quite specific about their tactics. The two unjoined and the horn distinguished, consequently, blood. Letters to my successor, advice from Gervinus van Loren, 11th librarian of Hush House, to the one who will come after him. Some of the advice is practical. Don't worry about losing the house key, always close the seaward windows, make sure you feed the cockatoo. Much more of it is rarefied, specifically about the inks of revelation, and some of it relates to Van Loren's own doom. When I was another, I made a foolish wager with the hooded princes to solve 7 riddles. I had not realized the riddles would be set for me by the one I would become. 6 are resolved, the 7th will be the end of me. It awaits now in the cellar of the jail, where Collars still believes I can keep it confined, but the first riddle told me I would not see the second dawn. The intimations of skin, fiendishly complex, weirdly distorted illustrations of congress and anatomy by the haunted visionary painter Niels Fredrik Malsker. Malsker illuminates the evolutions of the names of the Grail with unfortunate clarity. It seems that a lovely who consumes an ivory becomes an ivory. A lovely who consumes a thirstly becomes a thirstly. A lovely who consumes a name of another hour might take its place. In the penultimate illustration, a lovely grapples with a fungoid knot that can only be a name of the crowned growth. The lovely's mouth and other portals gape wide, and the growth name is already partially engulfed, but it seems that Malsker couldn't bring himself to illustrate the result, and the final illustration is only a scrawled, bloated obscurity. Finally, A True History of Valentine de Wolf, written in the third person by Valentine de Wolf, rarely coherent, though it includes some useful footnotes on falconry and on exotic veterinary medicine. Valentine is obsessed with the meaning of the de Wolf cult of arms, on a field, or a chevron enarched with gulls between 2 Gorby heads, Erase Sable in chief and Wolf Sajant Sable in base. Long have the 2 birds pursued my blood, yet one is no crow, yet it is darker. Long has the wolf rolled itself in gold like a clovered cow, until its slobberings stain our thoughts. All right, let's wait the 0.3 seconds, and now I'm going to have to actually work out all these memories. Okay, happy for the milk. All right, we do have tons of butter. Do I even try? This is all going on the bridge. Um, yeah, I'll worry about making the dough later. But that was timely. All right. Let's figure this all out. So I suppose at the base level, we just need to get the existing memories dealt with. So for Ragged Crossroads, that just means 2 winter and no fuss. So I will take a minute here. So the Bittersweet Certainty and the Contradiction. Well, okay. So Inks of Revelation is going to go to Auroral Contemplation. So that one's going to need the lantern. This could use the edge. So Weaving and Not Working is going to go to Resurgences and Emergences. I don't see any use for the Fear there. So then we'll do Revelation and Fear for the Auroral Contemplations. Beguiling Melody, and I guess the Confounding Parable? I don't think that makes sense. Why did I think the Confounding Parable would do something? I can always switch out the Foresight if it comes down to it. So Resurgence and Emergences needs Grail and Moth. I don't really have any Grail and Moth to work with here. Oh boy. Yes, I do. The Occult Scrap. That's probably why I didn't set this aside. Okay. This seems to work. So Bittersweet Certainty and a Contradiction. We'll employ our Whist. I'm no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. I also don't know why there's a health down here. I'm thinking that maybe I was going to apply this to something with a scale, but clearly I don't have the I don't have the relevant lesson. You know what? We'll just stack this all up again. All right. Let's go. I don't know why I'm unreasonably enthusiastic about the salon for Christmas. I'm wondering, does anybody have any feelings about whether we would host the salon in the refectory, the Hall of Division, or the chapter house? I sort of feel like the refectory or the Hall of Division would be good for Christmas. This does feel a little cozier. But I don't know. Does anybody have any feelings? As much as I would love to use the Gulskrai Logia, I don't think I can quite bring myself to give up the access. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? I think I'll switch out the Gossip in this case, just so I have a little extra to work with. Oh, wasn't paying attention. It's gonna take more work to open up the Hall of Division, but I think I'm going to put in the effort. Use everything. Oh god, the King's Luck Pie is massive. Where do I find the room for you? Alright, we're going to put you in the Hall of Voices. This is the problem for like wanting to have one of it. I just think it looks kind of nice to have like one of everything around the house, but man, is it a pain to get everything set up for the salon. These are the display game chips. So here's a question for you. For those of you familiar with the game, and of course, if anybody has any questions, I do have a list of most, but not all of the dishes that you can make in the House of Light expansion. But does anybody have sort of their preferred, like, does anybody have kind of themed dinners? We've talked a little bit about sort of themed guests or themed invitation lists or something like that, but I'm just trying to think if anybody's mentioned choosing certain dishes for the purposes of, yeah, especially since House of Light, like I definitely have hoarding tendencies, and House of Light has just destroyed any order in the in the game for me. Okay, what am I gonna do here? I think this beef needs a friend. You're not gonna let me put it there, are you? Okay. Gonna take a shot, yeah. I might be able to fit a couple of the smaller ones in the other rooms. I do like the description of the pear pie. Makes me a little hungry. Okay. I think we only have one more. Yeah, the keggery. All right. That's the start. So we've got the game chips. We have the mackerel keggery. And pickled mackerel, which looks a little weird, like compared to some of these other dishes, but I think I can live with it. Jabba stayed up to the ungodly hours again to say hi. I feel terrible about that. If it's any consolation, I was freezing myself to try and bring a little bit of Christmas joy to people. I don't regret doing it. I do regret the hour that I am streaming, though. So I'm happy that you stopped by to say hi, and I'm also delighted that there are people still playing Cultist Simulator. It is one thing I do on the YouTube channel want to get back to Cultist Simulator. I'm just kind of conscious of the time that I have available, or lack of time. So it's gonna take. It's going to take some organizing, but my intention absolutely is to return to Cultist Simulator. My ideal would be that I do a Cultist Simulator and a Book of Hours run simultaneously, but I'm also conscious of the fact that I have struggled a little bit to sort of maintain my existing schedule. Like I usually have to do a special kind of a special, how do I put it? Like sometimes I'll either record quite late, or I'll need to put some kind of special effort in to make sure that I make it on time. But I don't know. I would, in a perfect world, I'd like to make sure that I'm giving even attention to Book of Hours and Cultist Simulator. And it's honestly because one of the things that's so nice is like I'll still get people coming in saying, hey, I like your stuff. Have you done an aspirant run? And I think to myself, it's like, of course I've done an aspirant run. Like, I've done so many aspirant runs. And then I'm like, but I haven't done a dedicated aspirant run as a proper YouTube series. And obviously, that's really what people are looking for. Um, so I definitely think it's time for me to do another cultist run. And I've got a couple of things that I already had on the go. But I can definitely see I can definitely see a way forward to balancing the things out. And like honestly too, one of the things I was sitting down and doing last weekend, I was sort of sitting down and sketching out all of the different things I wanted to do. And this is everything from like computer projects to some like math concepts that I want to learn to like languages that I want to study. I'd like to sort of get back to playing piano. And like one of the things I'm finding the most difficult to handle, particularly with streaming, is that a lot of these skills are ones that benefit a lot from doing a little bit of work every day. So this might mean getting a little more disciplined on bedtimes, and then, you know, in the morning, I take the time, and it's not just some Duolingo, but I'm sitting down with my French textbooks, which I've kept since university, and going through the lessons, learning the grammar, like trying to read the paper, all sorts of things. Like I live in a bilingual city, so really the opportunities for me to engage with French are plentiful. The only thing is I tend to find that when I do try and read some of the French material, it's either the vocabulary's off or I'm not like I'm understanding individual words but not the full meaning. There's a few different ways that can go wrong for me. Um, so again, I'm really conscious of the fact that I want to be careful on my my willingness to take on new projects, because I already have more than I can or should take on. But I also think it's true that I think I have a reasonable shot once I have a little bit of discipline in terms of working out these different plans. Once I can sort of say, okay, here's what the how I'm going to spend my time. I think there's probably a reasonable claim to be said, okay, here we go, right? This is the time that I have for streaming. I can maybe stretch it out to, this many hours, or, hey, here's a way that I can sort of shave off some of the processing time to get the videos done. Maybe this is a way that I can automate some of the thumbnail image creation, or, whatever. There's a few different ways of thinking of this. But, the sooner I move away from thinking of, these hours as like this mad scramble and I don't have a really clear idea in terms of where everything can go, that's when I can start sitting down and having some serious thoughts in terms of like, obviously people still subscribe to the channel and people still, people will watch the ads on YouTube. And so obviously there is some room for me to sort of sit down and ask the question, like, how do I delight people, basically? Like, what's the way that I can, I can try and be mindful of the limited time that I have, but also, put this stuff together in a way that maximizes my own happiness alongside everybody else's. Obviously, that's a lifetime question. I'm probably not going to answer that today, but I can try, darn it. All right, let's think about some drinks. So teas would be nice. The only thing is I'm not 100% sure about the... I'm not 100% sure about some of the moon. So let's... So moon I don't have an answer for. Lantern I think we'll go for the Cater and Hero. Now Eason's okay with Sky, so that's Blue Crown. I don't know if we have a heart. So I guess with the heart and the moon, we can give them isle water if it really comes down to that. But I like to be a little bit fancier for Christmas if I can. And then for forage, that would be the honey scar jasmine. So I'm going to take a minute here and just see some of my drink options. I think I've done that recently, but I want to just double check. Oh, you know what? The Armagnac and the, yeah. Okay. And then, so that just leaves me with the heart. I feel like I can do better. Yeah, Witching to Sane. Give everyone serpent milk. You know, I haven't actually invited Echidna yet. Echidna would be a fun one to invite as well. I don't know if I'd have to, like, give up one of the guests for a drink. Now, I have done some duplicates. Yeah, so we've got another honey scar jasmine here. I'm just going to take a minute to make sure that I don't have any extra pots. So I figure the first floor of the Watchman's Tower can have my, like, base... my base teas. What I want to check right now, I'm still thinking if there's a non-alcoholic move, because it's technically only one alcoholic beverage for... I don't know, I like the idea actually. Aaron is the only one who's like a rare invitee, so like he's the only one having strong drink. There's something kind of fun about that, actually. But yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any sneaky pots of... There we... Oh, no, hang on. This is the... Yeah, this is already a spare. Oh, I did have extra butter. No! All right. Hey, Ionix. Good to see you. For those of you who do not know, Ionix is the long-suffering moderator of Prosciutto Fist's stream. However, I am also particularly pleased with the fact that Ionix is willing to join in with the trouble sometimes. So I feel that that's one of the perks of the job. I don't know if you stream yourself. If you do, please let me know, and I will be sure to appropriately direct people. It's half the fun. That's good. See, the funny thing is, I really shouldn't say that. Like, some of you know that like there is the difference between the Twitch persona and the broadcaster persona, which is probably, if I'm honest, a little bit closer to my actual IRL personality. Like, obviously, you know, people have better or worse days. Like, I don't think you can reasonably say that anyone is fully like they are on a stream. But you know, like I am a bit of a chatterbox, and I do you know, I do enjoy like talking with people and sharing things and all of that. So I don't think it would be completely unfair to say that I'm, you know, like obviously there's enough of me in the stream for me to like not go crazy. But wait, did I make... No, that's Pilchards on Toast. Never mind. But like obviously, for those of you who've seen me in streams, I'm a menace. I am definitely much more free in my conversation, let's say. And obviously, you know, there's usually a point behind it. It's actually one of the things that I really like the most. It's like the people who like to highlight that they're maybe not super sharp or on the ball or whatever, they're actually usually the ones who are very good on picking up the subtleties. And this is definitely true for Viridian, which is one of Prosciutto Fist's other mods, which I particularly enjoy. Because I don't know, it's like, there's that old saying about satire, right? That satire is an inside joke between the writer and the audience at the expense of the people who don't get it. I feel that is quite true. But, so anyways, the whole Persona thing aside, the horrible confession that I have is that there is more than one channel. Not as many as there used to be, because I've definitely just unmodded it or otherwise have moved on. Or the people aren't streaming anymore in a lot of cases. But definitely more than one. In fact, it's probably more than you might think. Channels that have modded me specifically to protect me from the other mods. Where basically I am enough of a pain that yeah, Ionix knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, like I remember one where actually a streamer got very cross. Yeah, so Zarog's got it. There's a reason I usually come to the stream, wait quietly, then pillage the library when he goes to get tea. What is your favorite book in this game, Zarog? I gotta ask that. But yeah, no, that is that. Like, I'd like to pretend that I'm just playing that up, but I'm not. There's multiple occasions independently with people not realizing that they were not the first one, absolutely have given me mod specifically to protect me from their actual moderators. So what can I say? I am true to myself, and I have accepted who I am. It's the only justification I'll give. All right, let's make the blue crown, and I guess for the witching to Sane, I'm gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. Oh, I haven't taken a look at my Steam recap. Let's actually do that really quick. I know I've been really distracted for today. I completely forgot the year in review. Let's see here. Steam Replay 2024. This year you played a variety of different games. 33 games played, 27 fewer games than last year. Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how much I dropped that. 140 achievements unlocked, 143 fewer achievements than last year. Well, then again, no, in fairness, I started a new job at the beginning of this year, so a lot of no, there's actually there's a very clear change in my life that's causing that. 12 days longest streak. Oh man, I really dropped off on the gaming. Oh Jesus, 69% of my Steam playtime is Book of Hours. 6% went to Old World and 6% went to Phantom Brigade. So definitely, I'm definitely in the. This is definitely all my streaming stuff. 140 achievements. So Steam Median 13, so I'm still apparently gaming too much. Steam Median is 4 games, and Steam Median was 6 for longest streak. My smallest share was new releases at 3%, 8% classic games, and 89% in recent favorites. Percentage of playtime you had in releases from the last 1 to 7 years. Yeah, so lots of old stuff. Oh, this is an interesting little number. So the spider graph shows the kinds of game you spent the most time on. So the two, what? So apparently the two extremes I have here are turn-based tactics, which fair enough, but the other end is farming sim? What was the farming sim? Oh, actually, I guess I did play some Sun Haven. Mechs and City Builder were the next two higher ones, so that one makes sense. That's Industries of Titan and Phantom Brigade, and among others. Capitalism. I mean, guilty as charged. And then the last one, which is the lowest of these, music, surprisingly. Let's take a closer look at my top played games. Book of Hours, you're still really into this game in 2024. 70% of total play time in January. I think that's the highest. And then the lowest would be April and May at 2%. 27 achievements unlocked. Big spike in March and April for Old World, which basically dropped off after August. Obviously, I mean, that one's a shame. I don't mind speaking out about this stuff. I used to be really quiet about this, but I'm actually noticed that there's a bit of I don't necessarily know if there's an advantage to kind of keeping quiet on this, but I've noticed every once in a while there is a tendency among publishers to, like, yeah, it was like anybody. It's kind of like any sort of a friend who really likes getting stuff from you. And I've noticed that I don't mind publishers saying, you know, hey, things have changed. You know, it doesn't really fit anymore for the keys. And it's like, you know, that sucks, but I can handle that. You know, I've heard no before. I think hearing that from someone, though, at least acknowledges the time that was put in before. And unfortunately, with Hooded Horse, as enthusiastic as I was for them as a publisher, and in fact, I still am enthusiastic for them in terms of business model, but basically the Paradox thing happened, which was, you know, I sort of reached out on Old World. I said, hey, you know, there's the, I don't know if you've got a plan. I think it was Old World anyways. It's like, I don't know if you have any plans in terms of the, you know, the DLC or not, but I'd like to continue streaming it. I usually will, you know, run it through to completion on a campaign, at least as far as I can in terms of the DLC. And there was that, and I think there was another thing, and, you know, just crickets. That always feels, I don't know. I don't necessarily think a relationship with a publisher should mean you get an infinite stream of games. I think that's very unreasonable for a streamer, but I do think if you have a rapport with someone, at the very least, don't leave them hanging. I don't know. Maybe I'm overly sensitive. Now, I do feel bad that Phantom Brigade's dropped off after August, because I know they've released a new patch, so I want to put that in. I want to put in some more time on that. But this one interests me. So No Man's Sky. Look, this game has a lot in it, so it's hard to single something out. I was not expecting that. Warhammer 40k Gladius Relics of War. Now, I'm weirded out that this has a big batch of playtime in January, because I know I was playing this recently. But yeah, I can't say that I have exclusive time in Book of Hours, but it's the biggest bar in almost every single month. So we've got some Uplink, we've got The Invisible Hand, Godless, Sunhaven. I spent quite a bit of time in Sunhaven, actually. August was very, very close to full-on Book of Hours. Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion, some Cultist Simulator, Ixion. Well, I gotta get back to Ixion. And actually, it's looking like Book of Hours might actually be another dominant December. Sorry, I should have this up on the screen. I don't want there to be like some personal information that creeps up. Demos, so Burden of Command, which we did on stream, Rift of the Necrodancer, which we did on stream, and one of you recommended News Tower. Thank you for that. I want to put more time in that, actually. My longest daily streak involved No Man's Sky, MechWarrior Online, Phantom Brigade, Old World, Battletech, and Book of Hours. I'm not going to lie, that's not a bad month for gaming, in my opinion. And then here's the list of games that it's giving me for your top game in January. Is yours a number here? I've never heard of that one. Okay, so here's the full list of games that I played, and then we will get back to the games. So in January it was Book of Hours, Gladius, Warhammer 40k, Gladius, Relics of War, Civilization 6. I feel like Civilization 6 should be a lot more in this list, but it actually occurred to me that I sort of dropped off a little bit. Oh, Sin Number. I'm sorry, Onyx, I wasn't paying attention. Warhammer 40k, Inquisition Martyr, Shadow Empire, Ozymandias, Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition, Human Resource Machine. That was based on a recommendation from one of you. Borderlands 2, Soma. So it's hard to keep track of which ones I've said before. Phantom Brigade, No Man's Sky, Old World, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I think that was the Justine DLC, if I remember correctly. MechWarrior Online, Helldivers, the original, not 2, Battletech, Superhot Mind Control Delete, Godless. Oh yeah, Godless has got to be on there. Like 10 seconds of Metro 2033 Redux. Or Redo, I don't know how to pronounce that. Sunhaven, The Invisible Hand, Uplink. It says first played in 2024, but that must be the first time I played it on Steam. Conquest of Elysium 5, Dominions 5, The Warriors of Faith. I should probably try Dominion 6, Rise of the Pantocrator, but I haven't played enough of Dominions to just fight. Oh, Bomber Crew! It's been a while since I played that. I like that one. I believe it's a standalone expansion, but Mind Control Delete is like a roguelike. For Superhot. I think you'd quite like it if you liked Superhot. Frostpunk, it claims first played in 2024. First played on Steam. I played it through EA before. Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion in October, courtesy of Prosciutto Fist. Jupiter Hell, which I bought, I believe, in October. Not a bad little roguelike. And then Ixion in November. Yeah, that was fun. I don't know if that was useful for anyone, but feel free to share your Steam replay in chat if you are so inclined. Obviously, though, a huge secret history. I have no idea what's going to happen when Traveling at Night lands. So favorite book of the Hours books. You're going to say the Newman book, The Sky and the Scar. Ooh. That's interesting. A very straightforward book on the sigils to escape the carapace when you mess up while traveling, which you would like to give to your cultists to save them from me. And 2, it holds the Newman that got your favorite ending so far. Aha. Oh yeah, actually I should have known. Sorry, now that you mention it, because I think you've mentioned your favorite ending. And by the way, Ionix, I did see your earlier message about only just getting the reference to System Shock. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. Are you talking about a BioShock clone? You would not believe the number of people in Twitch chats who take that joke very personally. But yeah, no, if you have not checked it out, Mind Control Delete 1 has a pretty great soundtrack, and number 2 I think is a really neat extension of the Superhot formula. I think you'll quite like it. And actually, I believe The Sky and the Scar we have not yet actually read that one yet because I didn't have a need for Sickle and Eclipse. It's going to be the next one that we read, so you can believe that we got it for you, but yeah, it's that's a timely book to mention. Okay, so Aaron's meal is taken care of. We still need the Cornish honey cake, but working on it. All right, so we've got our Ragged Crossroads. The skill is now level 3. Its power aspects have also increased. On to Auroral Contemplations. Can use basically anything here, but I'll use whatever I have the most of. That's still going to be, I think it's going to be Whist Forever, but Sorry I'm not reading the descriptions for Crowcross Sands and such. I just need to somehow find the efficiency for my time after doing so many so many distractions. Okay, more gossip. That'll fix itself in a little while. Actually, you know what? The more I think of it, so the memory that we're going to get from the Sky and the Scar is that's going to just hang around no matter what. So I don't need to wait on that one. So that one's a Sabazine text. So Sabazine, there is a history where Alexander defeated first the great knot of Sabazos, and then the King of Kings. There is another history where instead he learnt from them. How many more? If we curl our hands into the correct shapes, we may yet understand. Oh my god, what was I thinking? Alright, well, I forgot to add a skill. Alright, and then we're going to use resurgences and emergences for this last one. And we will apply what? Core. Alright, so I bungled the reading. We can still prepare the salon. Oh yes, I'm going to want to make some tea. Nope. Well, yeah, I can. Let's go to Nona's desk. Let's not go to Nona's desk. Desires and dissolutions. There we go. Okay, witching to Sane's on its way. What else do I want to do with the day? Nothing for now. At some point I will get the I'll consider the newspaper so that I can get the occult scrap, but it's going to take a little while. All right, dough, an ingredient for a higher purpose. So we got to add the the pilchards for the Stargazy pie. Let's use the health this time. Make Stargazy pie, a dish with forge, heart, moon, nectar, rose, scale, and winter. Alright. That's the other dough. So this one, I believe we need to add the egg. We're actually out of eggs, so I should probably have a chat with the chickens. Mix cake batter, an ingredient for a higher purpose. So maybe we'll stop chatting with Mr. Kill for a little while. And actually, while I'm doing that, let's load up on vegetables. Alright, a hot drink with nectar, sky, and winter. Now we'll pour 2 of these, so I don't think we need to worry about keeping it around that long. Blue Crown tea, always served cold. More accurate to say, inevitably served cold. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the paper. Too far. What am I doing? I don't need to look at the paper. I need to add Corso's card. You know what? Screw it. It's not. It's just not worth it at this point. take you to the caller's desk. Sorry, I'm completely losing it. Note Corso's address for what you might call an occult correspondence. But will they come when you do call for them? Alright, I could start the invitations as well. Let's give that a shot. So we've already got Igdistis invitation. I should do this in the order, though. So for Aaron, we need a moon. We can get that at this desk. Request Peel's presence. Douglas is next, followed by Easton Fekri, and then Serena's the last invitation. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales? Well, who'd listen? Okay. So from here, I am going to have a chat with the chickens. Time with the beastie? Offer this beast my company. Who knows? Perhaps it will offer something in return. Terence the chicken. Was this magnificent and indomitable beast named for the rector's indomitable and magnificent housekeeper? Best not to inquire too closely. Okay, this is going to be stupid if I... No, because it's 3 soul and I can only get 1 edge from each of these. I was going to say, that would be so stupid if I could somehow make that work. Okay, Eason. I need heart for that, so... Edicts Inviolable will do. It's best when it's warm, but it'll keep. Okay, so that's with the heart food, which I haven't figured out where that's going yet. Nothing's history when first it's written. And finally, Serena Blackwood, for which we need the forge. We can do that. Well, we can technically do that at Natan's desk with the transformations and liberations. Okay. So that actually, even though I decided to go for a slightly more elaborate salon, we're actually done in the 1 day, so I wasn't quite expecting to finish up everything. But this does allow me to focus on leveling up the skills. Sorry, struggling with my technology. Oh, for God's sake. I like that it's a little more aggressive in preserving the battery, but whenever I'm streaming, like, it's nice to just have a notepad to jot things down on, and I notice that I do it infrequently enough that I sort of have to unlock the iPad each time. Like, I like that feature. Obviously, it's secure, and I wouldn't want it any other way, but still. Alright, Stargazy Pie. Always a delight. And let's see if we can make the Cornish honey cake in time. So I think we just need... I actually think I've got some honey hanging around in the guest room yet. Let's... Can I read... You know what? Saved. Yep, bake a Cornish honey cake, a dish with heart, lantern, and moth. Night has fallen, dawn will come soon. Alright, so I haven't really worked out what memory I want to preserve. I should actually think about that. So the original goal was going to be to read The Sky and the Scar. So with that I was going to get Sickle and Eclipse. Sickle and Eclipse gives me Moon and Edge, which works both for the Ragged Crossroads as well as Auroral Contemplation. So I think I'm going to focus on Auroral Contemplations for this, which would suggest to me I should keep the Revelation or the Foresight. I think I'll keep the Revelation. I still feel very silly about the this mistake, though. So I think we only have 1 day left for the I think we only have 1 day left for the various skills. I suppose the real question here is how much do I want to try and commit to leveling things up? I think 2 memories is a little... like, that's kind of selling myself a little short. And that would bring Auroral Contemplations up to 5. So I'm wondering... well, each flame is fuel will definitely push us... ooh. You know, I'm just thinking, if we try each flame his fuel, that lets me level up the Auroral Contemplations. What's the other plan that I have, though? So, I can boost up Auroral... okay, no, actually, so each flame is fuel. If that gives me 3, then I can boost Auroral Contemplations to 6 with that, which is a fairly generous assumption already. But then from that, I should be able to do 2 into Ragged Crossroads, which brings it up to 5. And then I suppose the last illumination is Disciplines of the Hammer, which feels a little disrespectful to the Lionsmith. But I mean, somebody's got to be at the lower level, right? Okay, yes, so that's the plan. We're actually gonna implement this right now. So we'll take the Faust. We also need Deep Mandaic, the most secret script of the innermost rites of the deep sects of the deep desert. The birth tongue it is claimed to the mother of ants herself. Not the one I was looking for. Now the trick here might be that... you know what? I think I'm actually coming up short in terms of the sky. Yeah, so I need another 3 sky. Fortunately, I'm not keeping the confounding parable. So if we apply Baron Silence's astrolabe, Thomas de Wolf used this armillary, a spherical astrolabe, in his calculations, but it's much older than he was. Now we can read each flame his fuel. Okay, so I think that's going to be the goal here. We're going to try and bring Auroral Contemplations to 6, we're going to try and bring Ragged Crossroads to 5, and we're going to try and bring Disciplines of the Hammer to 4. The 4 is a stretch goal, though. I don't need to dedicate too much to that. And then if we wind up in Numa, that's fine. We will. It's it actually wouldn't be a major hardship if I could break up one of the elements. of one of the skills. A 5 would be ideal for that. Ooh, actually, yeah. So that gives me another reason to push ahead with this stuff. Okay, the sack of vegetables is so I can bribe the chickens when the time comes. Okay, not today. The mysteries have defeated me for now. You can always try again later, so I'm happy we didn't lose the Arab. This is a little different from what I was planning, but we can throw ourselves at it one more time. I think probably Disciplines of the Scar will do the trick here. So from there we read The Sky and the Scar. Sabazine. Edge of Conquest. I can master this mystery. Enough edge to match mystery edge. Now, I'm a little curious about this because I rather enjoyed... So there's a podcast I like listening to called Designer Notes. It's hosted, I think, usually by Soren Johnson, who is the lead designer at Mohawk Games. So they're the ones responsible for Off-World Trading Company as well as Old World. And previously he had worked at both Maxis... So I know he worked at Maxis on Spore, and he worked at Firaxis on Civilization 3 and Civilization 4. And I'm trying to remember, I'm pretty sure at some point he worked at... I'm so happy to see you write that, Ionix, because usually I keep hearing people talk about Spore in like negative terms, as like, oh, what a disappointment. And I feel that when I take a look... Like, Spore still has a lot of people playing it for a game that age, and like one that wasn't necessarily like universally praised on release, if I remember, if I read this correctly. I haven't actually spent that much time in it. Like, I understand why it may not be everyone's like first choice, but I actually really like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a big old softie, but like, I still kind of like it when people... I still kind of like it when people talk about the things that they love. It just feels nice. I'm sorry I don't have a more sophisticated way of putting it, but it's, you know, sometimes it's very pleasant to sometimes it's just very, very pleasant to, you know... Okay, actually, I think I talked about this a couple of streams ago. When I was visiting somewhere, I ran into a few people, and I try not to... Like, I kind of tell a joke. I don't actually do this as much as the joke implies, but, like, I sometimes kind of... Like, I joke that you can tell if I want to continue a conversation with someone because, you know, they'll be like, oh, what do you... Like, it's the question you ask if you don't have any other ideas when you're meeting somebody new. It's like, oh, what do you do, right? Where do I rank you in the hierarchy? What school did you go to if you're British? And, you know, if it's like... You know, the honest answer is like, oh, well, you know, I work on producer prices indexes, and, you know, I know a lot about the various index number formulas. I can tell you about the superlative indexes, like, you know, the Tornquist or the Fisher or the, you know, or if you want to talk about elementary indices, I know, you know, the Jevons is my favorite, but, you know, then there's the Dutot, and then there's, you know, and like, this is a guaranteed way to get rid of people at a party. Like, I kind of appreciate now that inflation is a little bit more of a popular topic, but then I need to explain to people that I measure the inflation. I don't cause the inflation. But then, you know, you see an attractive young lady, you want to make a good impression. What do you do? Oh, well, I used to work in movies on, you know, in the camera department, and there you go. That's all you need. Apparently I made one too many Blue Crown. But the funny thing on this one is it was me pulling the... Yeah, I went to work one day and I thought about it really hard, and I said, you know, I think today is the day that we that we raise the prices. And then, the message went out to all the CEOs and it said, time to go greedy, boys. And then they just turned at their factories, they turned the green dial to 100 and everybody had to start paying more for their groceries. But yeah, so anyways, inevitably it's movies, right? Everybody likes movies. So then usually the question is like, what did you work on? And of course, this is the slightly tougher one. I have worked with some interesting people. So like I worked on it wasn't really a movie, but it was a TV series which had Christopher Lloyd as sort of a special, one of the special cast members, which I really liked. And he was definitely one of these ones where you kind of imagine it will be somebody who's like nice to have on set or like as a cool guy. And I again, it's nice to hear about the positive. Nice. I know some jackasses, but Christopher Lloyd was. In fact, I was carrying something very, very heavy, and he offered his seat to me, and I was thoroughly embarrassed by this because obviously you don't want to disturb the talent. But like I think it's because I was holding something heavy and I'm a really skinny guy, so I think people were deliberately taking a long time to get the thing that I was going to put the camera on. But I honestly told him, I was like, honestly, if I move, I'm probably going to drop this thing. So it's very kind of you. Please don't worry about me. I've got it. But on the other hand, right, I also sort of realized, clearly I'm telling the story here, but I don't know, like you don't want to. Like, I feel I'm at this point, like, it's not like I've had a long and storied life or something like that, but I think there's a certain point where you kind of want to be responsible for your own accomplishments and not just, like, name dropping. So, obviously that's a nice thing to say, because I imagine, at least in this case, well, one, it's, like, nice about Christopher Lloyd, clearly. But number two, like, it's just an opportunity. The thing that's nice about that story is, somebody who I'm assuming that people already feel good about, it gives them a reason to still feel good about that person, which is why that's kind of a nice story. But, to a certain extent, that's fun to say. It's a nice icebreaker, but I don't want it to be like I don't want my personality to be past glories or something like that. Like, I was not run out of the film industry. I left for a reason. Like, there are other things that I can do with my time that I value. And I don't regret doing it. I maybe spent a little more time in it than I should have, but like, obviously I've got other stuff going on, that I can talk about too. But, like I try and give some other examples, and like some people will maybe talk about their own experiences or brushes with the film industry. And I can always offer, oh yeah, no, I did one of those. That was really fun. And what I think is really, really interesting was there was one time I did this, and I was like, well, yeah, I wound up working on one of these Lifetime movies. And like, this is one of the things where this is the reason why I want to tell the story. I kind of got a little off track. I can't remember how I originally got on this, but this was one that really surprised me. In some groups, the Lifetime movies are actually the ones that like people are really excited about. And like, this was 100% the like, I gotta pay rent. This is what's available. I don't even know half the name of half the stuff that I worked on. Right? I know they looked good. Right? It's camera department very rarely messes up in terms of like making a bad looking movie. The stories might suck. The acting might be wooden, but like, camera does its job. But yeah, like, and I actually really loved, like, occasionally, like, when I'd say this, and like, word gets around, so it's always, hey, worked on the Lifetime movies, and everyone's always the same. It's like, did you work on the Christmas ones? And I was like, I don't know, which one are you thinking of? So I'm trying to remember how I got onto this, but I think the point that I was going to try and make on that one is the thing that is so funny about it is that you never know I think this is probably because I was talking about Spore. you never know what one means a whole lot to people. I think this was it. I'm sorry. I'm all over the map today, and I'm sorry for that. But like, if I need, I've got the stuff that I can sort of name drop on, and I feel like I have enough cool stories to like merit the inclusion of the "yeah, I used to work in movies" anecdote. Like, I don't feel like I'm putting, taking my life in my own hands when it comes to anecdotes like that. But like I said, if you're it's kind of like people who peaked in high school, right? Like, people who are still, in their 30s or 40s, like talking about the big game in high school where, they scored the final touchdown or whatever. Hey, hit people guy, how you doing? Um, like it might be an indication that not a lot's happened in between then. And sometimes there's good reasons for that, right? Like it could be, there was something else that came up and you had other priorities somewhere else, right? Because, if you're taking care of somebody, maybe that's not a story that you want to be sharing with other people. I don't mean to sort of, I don't want to necessarily just sort of wag my finger at something like that. But, again, you want to be careful in terms of the stories that you're using and why you're doing that. I don't want to be in the reflected glory of, having once worked on a set with some other person that people are actually interested in talking about. But yeah, when it comes to I think, again, I'm trying to remember the exact motivation behind this, but when it comes to some of the stuff that I think of when it comes to like the games and the stuff that you never, I guess the stuff that you never know about, right? Like if you had asked me actually, let's take a quick look while I'm distracted. I want to take a look at the Steam stats and see if I can. I don't know if it'll be under the 100 most played, but so Spore. There are currently on Steam 1,178 people playing Spore. The 24-hour peak, 2,068. I'm assuming that's concurrent. All-time peak 8.3 years ago, 5,630. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty... I feel like that's pretty good. And I don't know, like it's not a game to me, right? It's not a game that I always hear like people saying the nicest things about, or at the very least people kind of talk about it in reference to disappointment. And I get it, right? Like it was a game that promised a lot and maybe didn't quite live up to that initial promise. But on the other hand, right, how many of you would have guessed that it was a 4-figure number in terms of people playing Spore right now? And I think that was one lesson that I sort of got, which is that, you have the things that you sort of think would be. So I imagine if we were maybe having a conversation like 10 years ago and you're saying, is like, what's a game that people are going to be, playing 10 years from now? And like, well, actually, let's do this experiment. So Binding of Isaac, right? Huge indie success. Currently 184. Skyrim, Fallout. How are you doing, Eric Abu? And the thing that's interesting about Spore is that that one was originally, I believe, only released on EA Play, so it came to Steam later. So let's do Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Rebirth has quite a few more. 25,027. I was like, I was a little surprised at how low that number was. So that one, okay, that one's beaten beaten Spore right now. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like for a game that people are talking about, and I mean, like, people love the Creature Creator and all of those sorts of things. And like I said, it's kind of funny how you never know what's going to be something that really means something special to someone. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there was a bigger point that I was going to make, but I've long since lost it. I apologize. But there was going to be something related to the movie stuff. Or like that was an offshoot of it. Sorry. I'm going to just move ahead and hopefully it will come back to me. Oh, actually, this was one question I was going to ask. I can't remember why. Oh, yeah, so sorry. I was talking about the podcasts. So yeah, Soren Johnson, I believe he worked at, what was it? There was the one I was trying to think of. 2K bought them recently. God, what is the name? Mobile company. Not PopCap. They used to do like Farmville and stuff like that. Zynga. I think they still do Farmville, actually. I don't play Farmville, so. But yeah, so I think he worked for Zynga, but I don't know if he wound up doing anything with it. But I've been listening to... So I listened to the interview with Zach Barth of Zachtronics fame. And Zachtronics has actually come up a couple of times in recent memory. So I recall that I think Zachtronics came up in one of the weather forecast videos because I think it was called Hardchip. Definitely very Zachtronics inspired, but I'm curious, are there any Zachtronic fans in the channel? I don't know what the overlap is between the Book of Hours crowd and the Zachtronics crowd. Like, I love them, and I know a couple of... Well, actually, so I know there's a couple of you that really like Opus Magnum, which is a great game. But I don't know if you're all watching right now. All right, we've got a cloudy day. I think we're going to talk with Mr. Kill again. Mr. Kill always enjoys a chance to catch up with me. If you don't choose a topic, Mr. Kill will offer help as a friend. Now, I suppose I can crank out as many... so if we're doing Auroral Contemplations and Ragged Crossroads, so we're Lantern Edge and then Disciplines the Hammer. So Lantern Edge and Forge. So I'll do first round getting the Lantern Edge and Forge that Mr. Kill can't generate. Oh boy. So patterns works. I'm trying to remember where we were on these. I'll do advice on containment at the... Okay, Lantern Edge Forge. I think it's just contradictions. Okay, so I might expand out in a little bit. I think we're on to the Wainscot histories. One thing I can do is Torg's Cleansing. Who would I do that with? Cyclone Eclipse, maybe? Nope. sharps, I think. Oh, there we go. Purge myself of harmonious resonances, accruing some personal edge. It won't be pleasant. I could also try for an old moment, which would be a slightly more useful... Actually, I guess I can't in this case because I don't have my... I don't have my... Disciplines of the Scar. Okay, so I've got 2 desks. Let's go... Oh, sorry, 3 desks. So let's go for... It's Lantern Edge and Forge. We're already bringing in the Revelations. Let's do Foresight. Oh, Regrets will give me some Forge. Although that's not a major priority right now, so let's maybe see if I can get a little more Lantern. Oh, well, Fears actually will help me out. So which of these did I do? Was it Viennese Canon? No, we did True History of Valentine de Wolfe. So Deeds of the Scarred Captain. All right, I'm out of ideas. Let's do... let's do the Regrets. And then I'll fill in the details as needed. Also, I want another egg. Time with the beastie. Tuppence, the other chicken. Tuppence's most notable quality, all observers will agree, is that she is not Terence. Mr. Kill can always spare a few hours to help a friend, so we will get talking with him in a little bit. I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There is no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. Oh, actually, the consider verb with the site. So let's... I'm actually going to go to the far left. Let's take a look at the chart. So I can get some sight out of that. I can get Forge from Touch. Yeah, for now we'll just wait for whatever text to finish its thing. I think we're going to finish Each Flame is Fuel first. And again, we are a little bit on the clock here. The reason why I wanted to sort of front load a whole bunch of memories was just so that I could get a head start on leveling everything up. The genealogical chart. 6 years ago, King George's heir Edward killed him in a quarrel over Edward's womanizing. The kingdom was saved from constitutional collapse by Henry Huddleston Abney Hastings, 13th Count of London, who claimed descent through the Plantagenet line. Heaven lift the new king. Collars was keenly interested in the history of the houses Tudor, Plantagenet, Hanover, Windsor, etc., all the way back to the days of the Leashed Flame. He has also doodled the Suppression Bureau seal by the name of King Henry's mother Edith. Of course, Lady Edith serves as Nocturnal Secretary, the minister with final responsibility for the entire bureau. Okay, the Wainscot Histories, subtitled Stories from Behind the Walls, a miscellany of non-traditional histories, including battles not generally acknowledged and countries which appear on no map, told in a playful, apparently fictional manner. Gore does not mention the mantis directly, but constant coy metaphorical references to ascending the staircase of years, to the doors of sleep, and to the blue light of dawn suggests he had commerce with the unseen world. It was common in that time to speak of the division of the sun, by which contemporaries understood the eruption of barbarian forces and of their uncouth gods. Glimmerings, an anonymous prison diary written by a dreamer convicted of oniric irresponsibility and confined to the Kukurbit. The prisoner is plainly terrified and bewildered by their situation, and has been unable to wrangle a coherent explanation out of anyone. But the dreams keep coming, and they keep writing them down. Snow, broken mirrors, half-heard sky music, flowers of white, red, and black, a blood-streaked winter dawn, the most notorious signifiers of oniric risk, fantastically vivid and detailed. No wonder they were locked up. Their final recorded dream is of a worm jewel beneath Brandkrug Isle, which they open with a key carved from their finger bone. The cleansing has left my skin burning, my teeth throbbing, the corality rumbles beneath the membranous surfaces of the waking world. Torg's cleansing, the librarian Natalia Brulot learned this powerful, if unpleasant, technique from the priest and edgelong Reverend Torg. The incandescent tantra, Michael Blockley, the eccentric iron magnate, was fond of quoting from this tantra. Blockley died in a factory fire. Dialogues with an entity called the Crucible Prince. The prince warns about the appetites of his mistress, the Burning Queen, and the peril of the naked desire she shares with the sun, but professes his loyalty nevertheless. A rite which changes is necessarily a rite which destroys, but a great change requires a destruction of savage extent. So we're definitely well equipped for the lantern and edge side of this. Advice on containment. Thyrza Blake discusses ways to keep wood things out of trouble and mantis things in it. Thyrza is irritatingly light on specifics, insisting above all that the duties of an adept are the duties of a host, and that a conjured spirit should be kept in as luxurious a vessel as possible. Thyrza notes the similarities between the lantern-long habit of scrying, returning to the physical world despite their absence of a body by entering a mirror or light, and Poemander's techniques of confining mantis long to mirrors. She wonders whether Poemander himself might be lured to visit Hush House if provided with a sufficiently alluring scrying. The deeds of the scarred captain, painstakingly assembled by the soldier of fortune and sometimes remittance man Pavel Shulga during his years in Greece. An account of the founding of Mycenae by a scarred captain who first slew 7 monsters to make the land safe. As the captain destroys each monster, a flood of blood rises higher until at last a priestess drowns and is reborn as a serpent goddess. She blesses the captain, and he departs for the house above the forest, leaving Mycenae to reign supreme after the flood of blood subsides. And the Barrowchild's elegies. The Barrowchild, a Gaulish adept who won a place in the ranks of the Ordo Lamea, enumerates the great shadows laid to rest in the tombs of power and discusses their various conditions. The Barrowchild identifies numerous modes that are neither true death nor true life: the vitrification of the heart, the corrupt light of the wood, chorostasis, the wandering of the fet. The Barrowchild warns particularly of the avidity of tryst, where a remnant shadow's longing for change survives the sense of self and even devours its wist. That longing may draw the curious into the tomb, where the remnant shadow changes so that it cannot be distinguished from its visitor, or that the reverse becomes true, and that it is never again possible to say whether it is the shadow or the visitor that exits the tomb. Somewhat relevant to my YouTube playthrough. All right, and... Ooh, don't put that on the bridge. Okay, we're gonna have... I don't think I have a lot of... Or I should have a couple grapes available, so let's feed the chickens the grapes. Feed the beasties, satisfy this creature's appetite. I'll make some decisions about the remaining memories after I have some of the basics down here. I should have more than enough elements of the soul to keep going back to just kind of hammer away at the sweet bones, but in this case I am going to spend the money to restore the element of the soul and sort of recycle it. It is autumn when the leaves rustle. The silent landlady has served me apple pie with steamed cream in the window nook. And here we go. Each flame his fuel, a work by Omar the Blaze, an initiate or craftsmaster at the Labyrinth of Lions. Omar describes his work in the construction of mirrors for the enclosure of a sacred flame, his slow realization of a flaw in the glass. Omar explains how his lightsmithing techniques can be used in the presence of sufficient lantern to enrich xanthotic essence into the great ink of the first history, but he pleads caution in its use, lest the chandler be realized. So I have a revelation for that. 2 Glazurian lightsmithing, so we are off by 1 in terms of things that I wanted, but that's fine because we should still be able to... Yeah, so we can get Auroral Contemplations to 6, and we can get Ragged Crossroads to 4, I believe. Probably going to need another shelf for Revelations sometime. Well, to be honest, there's a few things that I'd like to reorganize. So the Intuitions shelf needs to be bigger. I need possibly a bigger Patterns shelf, but honestly, I think this'll work. The big one right now is that we have something like Satisfaction, which is taking up 2 shelves, but clearly it doesn't need one of the big shelves. And I don't have a good filing system for that. I should just be willing to expand into other parts of the house, but the obvious ones like the Vestibular Transitus, I've taken it up with storage, so I don't know. I'll figure it out. All right. So first things first, we're going to move Auroral Contemplations up. So there's a couple priorities that I have in terms of handling Auroral Contemplations here. Ideally what I will do, we'll use the Fost first. So using something like Revelation, Foresight, and Fear. So these would be my ideal for a start, simply because none of these right here are things that Mr. Kill can generate. Or sorry, the Regret, but I'm not using the Regret in this case. So where I can, I'd like to use these first, and then and just sort of start recycling them. So I'm still going to keep reading the various texts, but the thing is that as I start getting memories from Mr. Kill, I can sort of fold in some other memories, so that way I can sort of have a little bit of a... I don't know, it's almost kind of like an assembly line of relevant memories. Because I've got a bit of a floor to work with now, I have a few more options in terms of elevating these. So for, a start, let's get the Revelation, the Fear, and the Foresight back. So we read, the Van Loren work. Let's do Locksmith's Dream. So that's the Revelation. For Foresight, we won't read the Blockley text again, but I will look at, I have no idea which... Oh, actually, you know what? I think we did the Amalgam of the Red Rose, so let's do the Carmine Petal revised. Okay, so that's the Forge, so Fear, and then we're good. So we went from, here we go, 1,000 threads. And if I had a guess, it's that I've underinvested in memories. So I'm actually going to try and push a little bit further. So I'm going to see if I've got a nectar and scale. Excuse me. Okay, so that doesn't work. So I'm trying to look at these and say, of the uncommitted ones, I don't think I have a solid nectar and scale. Which, again, isn't a hardship. I could use that to level up Inks of Contain... No, sorry, Inks of Contain... It's Inks of Power that's scale. But it does feel a little weird. Okay, I won't question it. So if I look for nectar, herbs and infusions, looks like it's the lowest one, which would suggest Inks of Power is the... Okay, fair enough. So yeah, I'm going to look for something that's either nectar or scale, but I don't want to go crazy on it. I want to have like one of the lower level ones. So yeah, this is a good example. Rites of the Roots, right? So we'll read the Green Jasper Tablet. We'll get one for Kernwick Hennebeck, and it looks like it's going to be a nectar one. So actually, the moth would apply as well. We'll use Nona's Desk. This one is also just kind of interesting. So we'll use Rites of the Roots. We'll also throw a health at it. And it is Cracktrap. Yeah, doubly appropriate that we'll be leveling up Cracktrap with it. So I can master this mystery, enough nectar to match mystery nectar. All right, back to work. We will be using Mr. Kill in a little bit. I should probably feed the chickens first. All right, we have our dear friend Zerog's favorite book, The Sky in the Scar, gnomic exhortations that might be described as emergency procedures for the return of the traveling kinds of the Carapace Cross. Each page of this book, except the last, bears a single sign, clear and irrefutable as a gem. The final page is empty. The traveling kinds of the Carapace Cross might never return. So, Sickle and Eclipse for our trouble. And Newman back into balance. When the traveling Carapace kinds passed beyond the wave and the sky, and they made arrangements for their return, there are histories where those arrangements might be invoked. Any librarian can use this to establish a history and complete the game, but the executioner and the revolutionary can win a particular victory. So I'm going to take a minute here. I have been recording the various Newman. I think I've already got the one I'm going to focus on, but doesn't mean I can't write the rest of these. So... All right. I'm actually not 100% sure how I'm going to fit this into my overall plans, but I'm also not opposed to just, tossing this out and moving on to the next text. Although, to be honest, I've got plenty of things to do in the meantime. I don't need to worry too much about using I don't need to worry too much about using the various sorry, the Newman. Okay, the scale is now level 4. Its power aspects have also increased. So, obviously here the main goal was to level up Auroral Contemplations to 6. So in terms of the 4 that I need, we can use the Sight Contradiction and Bittersweet Certainty as is, or we can wait for the next. Honestly, waiting doesn't make any sense here for me, so we'll take the Sight Contradiction, Bittersweet Certainty, and Toryg's Cleansing. We will apply the Faust again, and we will use Glacierian Lightsmithing. So satisfying to have come so far. So I need, we'll just do the classics, right? We'll make Toryg's Cleansing again. I suppose I can make the Old Moment now. We still have a bit of time for that. This isn't the right one. Can I get away without the Faust? Not really. Okay. So I don't have a replacement for the Sight, but the Contradiction and the Bittersweet Certainty shouldn't be that hard to get my hands on. I think I may have actually read this recently, but I'll go again, and then we can finish observations on the Peacock Door, and we'll cycle it again. Okay, and the only other thing I can think of with Ragged Crossroads, I do have a handful of winter things that I haven't read yet. So if I take the time to think of it, okay, so we're generating all the memories that I need for one more. Got the winter here. I think as a precaution, I'm going to generate 2 more winter. Or something approximating that. All right. Which of these fancy winter ones can I... Well, yeah, they're replaceable, though, so... Excuse me. All right, well, no need to stand on ceremony. Let's, I don't even remember where we were going with these. I think we might be on The World Does Not Weep. So there's the hindsight. We've already got the regret. I think that's it. So let's let the timers run down. So it's going to be a little lumpy in terms of where we get the next, or when the next few memories come in. But again, the idea here was to try and keep the consider verb occupied as much as possible. It's not a major hardship for me to sort of deal with fragmentary memories. The one thing that's nice is that what I'm going to use to level up Crack Track isn't going to take a whole lot for either of the 2 memories. So I'm again, we'll see what the day brings, but I think in this case we can just we can work with the existing memories we've been working with. We'll regenerate them, obviously. But we'll have Auroral Contemplations where we want it. We'll have Ragged Crossroads close. We'll have the language ready to commit, and then I'll get like a freebie for, I guess in this case it would be nectar. So, well, sorry, I say nectar, but it's actually moth as well. So it looks like Resurgences and Emergences is still the one that'll be the beneficiary. Okay, The Locksmith's Dream, Stolen Reflections, the fourth volume of Teresa Galmier's expansive work, no longer a discussion of the dreams of artisans, but a valuable survey of other works. The tone is calmer than that of Trespasses, but occasionally fearful, even paranoid. This volume was published in 1926, but almost immediately recalled and pulped by the publisher at the request of the author or possibly the authorities, depending on which story you believe. A few copies survive. Janus is the gatekeeper, the twin god, the god that wounds, the presager of changes, the sun, the moon, so we identify him with the watchman, the twins, with the mother, with the forge, with the Meniscate and the Madrigad. He cannot be all of these, can he? The Flamines knew the church, knew the dry land, knew Elagabalus. Is he then Synthesis, or is he something else? In Gallicaea they call him Aeneas Lammius, but the Obliviots are notorious for their slanders. Janus has, they say, not one face but two. To which I reply, why only one? Why only two? Ersault and Coseley, according to Thomas Love Denman, once agreed that Janus was all the gods and none, but later Ersault described him as all the gods, and Coseley favored none. Denman was a sinister dilettante, but this rings true of them both. The Carmine Petal Revised, an apparently theoretical project proposed by Lionel of the Society of the Noble Endeavor, which might permit the imprisonment of a renegade forge name, a very heavily revised edition of an earlier and even more controversial work. The book was evidently revised sometime after the Wars of the Rhodes had ended, but even then, this kind of discussion would have been politically difficult. Lionel suggests that the disciplines of Scar and Hammer together would be necessary to create such a prison, but that either on its own would serve to release its occupant. Uh, 1,000 Threads, the fate supplications of the Matriarch of the Well, recorded in darkness by her weavers and her daughters. The well is long choked with rubble and ashes, the Matriarch long gone. She predicted her own end, even as these supplications were recorded, but their power remains. Speak these supplications before an altar whose roots have drawn from a sacred spring. Perhaps another root will rise towards daylight. Alright, so here's the Auroral Contemplations. Now again, for level 6 we need 5, so we've got 1, 2, 3 of the... I guess I could throw the old wound at it, so 4... the lantern stuff's a little hard to get a hand... Yeah, I'll wait for the next lantern. Although I suppose in 30 seconds I could have used the sight. Okay, so again, we'll grab the memories first. The cleansing has left my skin burning, my teeth throbbing. The chorality rumbles beneath the membranous surfaces of the waking world. So, Toric's cleansing. Glimmerings, an honest prison diary written by a dreamer convicted of oniric irresponsibility and confined to the Cucurbit. The prisoner is plainly terrified and bewildered by their situation, but has been unable to wrangle a coherent explanation out of anyone. But the dreams keep coming, and they keep writing them down. Snow, broken mirrors, half-heard sky music, flowers of white, red, and black, a blood-streaked winter dawn, the most notorious signifiers of oniric risk, fantastically vivid and detailed. No wonder they were locked up. Their final recorded dream is of a worm jewel beneath Brandkrug Isle, which they open with a key carved from their finger bone. So some of these will be attractive for the Ragged Crossroads. An Exorcist's Field Manual, a practical guide to troublesome dead, grounded in theory, but with a clear focus on their disposal by the redoubtable Detective Austerre Wheellock of the Suppression Bureau. The dead usually avoid light as the most immediate manifestation of eternity, which has no place for death. However, those dead uplifted by gold, that is to say, touched by actinic theoplasma, happily bod about in daylight and are perhaps strongest at noon. If you are dead but uplifted by green, that's the Ringyu's blessing. The crown growth offers a similar but nastier benefit. This is how burgeoning risen come about, but there are different degrees of sentience and freedom depending on which growths are involved. The consciousness of one uplifted by green is always greatly altered, though they never really seem like the same person. They may have dregs of their original souls, but these are often replaced by something else. The upshot, invariably, is that they need to be set firmly on fire. And the world does not weep. Brown Joshua found this in a well in Hamath. There's an unlikely story that it was abandoned by Alexander during his retreat from Issus. The unknown adept who wrote this proclaims, "The world forgets, but the ivory dove does not." The text contains a number of prescriptions for ensuring that certain acts are remembered, including a rite which requires a sacrifice in a particularly monstrous mode. The Hours tried to bury the memory of what happened to the wheel, the flint, the tide, and the seven coiled, but the dove won't permit it, nor will he permit what happened to the first egg to be forgotten, although it is perhaps the one thing that the watchman might ever forgive. Okay, so I want to be a little thoughtful in terms of how I use these memories. So again, the plan for today, Auroral Contemplations to 6, Ragged Crossroads as high as I can get it, which in this case is going to be 4, and then we also want to level up Crack Track. So we need 5 for Auroral Contemplations, but because Crack Track is Nectar and Scale, and Ragged Crossroads is Edge and Winter, anything Lantern should get the priority first for Auroral Contemplations. So 1, 2... well, this has Winter, so we may stick with that. Sorry, I'm just taking a minute to think this through. The one that I'm missing here is what I use to level up resurgences and emergences, but the real thing that I need to realize is that none of this matters. We've got more than we need, so... all right, so with that... Oh, hang on. I think I might have used one too many. Okay, so let's go Auroral Contemplations. Let's get the 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I need 2 more. So if we go Fear here and Contradiction here. So I'll apply the Whist. At last, I'm something of an authority in this. Now, it might seem like I've given up on Ragged Crossroads, but I have Newman back into balance to work with this. So there's the Bittersweet Certainty, there's the back into balance. So we'll employ Sickle and Eclipse. The Hindsight will allow me to level up the Crack Track. And then that leaves us with Resurgences and Emergences, but I still have options there. I can read those books now. So for Grail... I don't need to get too clever with this, so let's do the Morphe Codex. Grail and Moth. Next up, we've got... These are always tough. I think we're on to the Rose of Nuriel. And I guess an Impulse if I have to. I'm just going to go for the first thing that I can find. So, well, no, actually the Gossip. works. So I think we're on to 3 flowers, half the tree. All right, that'll do. And actually, that didn't turn out too badly. We've got a little bit of extra time left in terms of the timer, but I think once we've committed everything, we're not leaving that much on the table in terms of things to do for today. All right, a full belly makes a helpful friend. This beastie is now inclined to cooperate. I'm wondering if maybe... I know we brought in Mr. Kill, but maybe getting some more eggs is the way to go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna load up on all the veggies. And we're just gonna get some more. Just get some more eggs. Just a nice little reserve to work with rather than scramble around whenever scramble, so to speak, rather than, you know, rush to fill in what's missing. Okay, the green jasper tablet, supposedly copied from a tablet of green jasper, which serves as the covenant stone of the monastery of the Fifth Cup, the token which gives that library shelter beneath the watchman's tree. Humankind hid itself from the glory's light in the roots of the watchman's tree, but for every chink we stuffed with cloth and hair we opened another, and the light crept in, until we looked below into nowhere, and the eye of the mare in the tree, winked red. The tablet expounds the dangers of inviting in the nowhere hour called the mare in the tree, and also of forbidding her entry, since she can never be entirely be denied. Along the way, it reveals the secret of the sacrament malachite, in which the merry mare merrily spits, brewed with the rites of the roots from the pneuma pear in the presence of sufficient nectar aspect. Oh, we got an impulse for that. Cool. Okay, rites of the roots. Again, we'll use that to level up Crack Track and I guess Resurgences and Emergences when the time comes. We can afford to just keep throwing the whist at the sweet bones for the rest of the day, so we have finished our apple pie. We've got an old moment, which I'm probably not going to use, but that can also be used for Resurgences and Emergences. Alright, the skill is now level 6. Its power aspects have also increased. So let's get the last few details in. So Ragged Crossroads. I'm actually wondering if maybe now we hold off on Back into Balance. No, I'll get Reckless. I'm not going to have as much of a, like, if Pneuma comes, it's not going to be as much of a scramble as it normally is, so I don't really need to worry that much about having all of the memories loaded up for... You'll notice, like, the edge ones, except for Forbidden Epic, I actually don't even have in the inventory yet. So yeah, we'll go as far as we can with Ragged Crossroads, another fruit plucked from Knowledge's tree. Next up will be Crack Track, and then whatever remains, although I probably... What did I wind up using again? No, those were fine. So if I want to level up Resurgences, Emergences, so we've got 2 here. Crack Track's going to need the scale. So let's apply Hindsight. Then to level up Resurgences and Emergences, we can use the Old Moment, we can use the Impulse, and then it's our pick in terms of the remaining steps. Okay, so we've got the rest of the day sorted out. We'll focus on the eggs. I am a little tempted to go for a Child's Treasury of Golden Afternoons, but I think I prefer the idea of... I think I prefer the idea of going in short 1 Newman than going into Numa with 2 lessons I need to deal with at the start. The Morphe Codex. A priestess of the Sisterhood of the Knot claims to have discerned the true meaning of the Thunderskin's birth. The writer credits the Red Grail, the Ring-Yew, and the Horned Axe, the powers the Sisterhood reveres, with agreeing a final treaty between the Hours of the House and the Hours they displaced. The Thunderskin loved the Yew, and the Grail destroyed him as restitution for the slaying of the Horned Axe's sisters and brothers. The Thunderskin entered the Manses through the Peacock Door, a privilege never given to the witch and sister, but then their merit was much less. The writer admits that entry through the Peacock Door is unseemly, but insists that under the circumstances there was no other way. The Rose of Nuriel, a volume of collected teachings of the Sisterhood of the Knot, that arcane contemplative order that existed in all histories, but in some was very powerful indeed. This was recorded by Nuriel and dedicated to Saint Tryphon. Saint Tryphon, Nuriel explains, performed secret miracles in the name of she who bleeds and bears and she who opens. Thus Saint Tryphon opened the way to the House of the Sun. Thus Saint Tryphon underwent the great birth and ascension to immortality. And finally, Three Flowers Hath the Tree. Ernestine Peterhans records her observations of the growths of trees and flowers around the Isles, and the omens and portents she attempts to draw from them, particularly the yew tree in Earl Brian's meadow, whose flowerings are sometimes eccentric. Ernestine observes that in years when the tree flowers black, troubling secrets arise. When it flowers red, war and fires follow, and that no dual fair has ever been born in a year when it flowers white. Ernestine attempts to use the tree's growth to advantage in her business affairs, but it fails. She is evidently very concerned when Hendrik de Wolf's grandson Giles runs off with the pale trollop Hafren in a year when the tree flowers white. She begins to fear that she has entirely misinterpreted all the relevant omens. She is deeply concerned for the continuation of the de Wolf line and prays for Giles' return. Okay, so let's focus on Crack Track first. There is always more to learn. In the tracks of beasts, in the convulsions of his own carapace, in Egvane and Shell Shadow, the many-eyed one found the signs which can be history. So I think if we start reading now, we would just finish reading at dawn the next day, so we're definitely not doing any more books. I am going to grab what I can from the chickens, but I think I'm only going to be able to feed... Oh, no, I'm not even going to be able to feed the one, so... but we will feed them tomorrow. I certainly have no shortage of vegetables, so that's kind of why we went a little crazy in the gardens for the last day. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers to the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. The skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. And then finally we will level up Resurgences and Emergences just because we don't have much else. Okay, if I think about what... So let's say Numa doesn't come up tomorrow. That would mean that I would try and level up Ragged Crossroads. So that would mean Winter, Edge, and Forge in the... Ooh. None of these will do it. Alright, well, lesson learned. Old Moment, Beguiling Melody, and an Impulse. Another fruit plucked from Knowledge's tree. Improve the skill to level 4. And I suppose as a final step, we'll go to Crowcross Sands and get a little something extra. Okay, not a terrible way to spend the day. It looks like we actually have the pattern set aside, but I don't know if... Yeah, I don't think I can actually take that overnight with me, so it's satisfaction or gossip. But again, not necessarily a bad day, so we're all ready to go for the salon for tomorrow. Night has fallen, dawn will come soon. Let's keep the gossip, I suppose. And now it suggests a meal would be welcome. So I'm happy to have at least 3 eggs. Obviously it'd be nice to have more, but we're better off with 3 than we were before. I don't know if that helped or not. Okay, so yeah, if Numa comes, that's fine. We break up what we can, we commit what we can, and move forward. If it's winter, we do the salon right away because, again, I wasn't expecting it, but we are fully ready to go. Blackberries, unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. Let's see how the day turned out. And the curious seashell, sea-strewn, salt-snared stuff. I should have been using the loss to level some of this stuff up. Carried a memory like a flambeau, safe through the mazes of night. This will complete once dawn has come. We've got a storm. What does the day bring? Winter. Okay. A few nice things. Number 1, we're as close as we're going to get to the Christmas version of Reverend Timothy's tree. Actually, I'm going to take a look at the items here, but I actually didn't read the blog for today. I think we'll end on that. So we've got the Awakened Feather, we've got the Rose Pearl, Moly, Cronsicord, January Sanguinary, Sea Glass, Ambergris Chunk, Deer Day Lens, Flushed Mommet, Canned Ham, Mackerel. And let's see what the blog says. So for the Advent calendar, I'm going to read this from the... Oh, hang on. Oh, yeah, no, we got it. I forget, it hasn't been noon on the 24th yet. So yes, True Blood of True Blood of St. Januarius was today's entry. Also, Real World, a final lore snippet from Traveling at Night, our newly announced CRPG. The heart is the principle that continues and preserves, but the heart relentless, the hour that protected the skin of the world we understand, the heart relentless is still. You know you don't have any shelf space, just leave it on the tree. Yeah, that's the real reason. Big things happening in the setting. Who do I need to be alive? The Colonel, the Mother of Ants, Flower Maker's okay, I guess. Watchman definitely. So yeah, Watchman, Colonel, Mother of Ants. Solar hours aren't bad. How do I feel about the solar hours? So that would be, well, Watchman's a solar hour. Metascape, Sun and Rags, Magic. I don't know. I'm quite partial to the Watchman, to be honest. Who else? Does anybody have who among you have an hour they want to survive? Maybe that's a question for another time. I am going to wrap it up a little bit early here just because it's nice to end in the season. Given the fact that it wasn't Numa, actually this is going to be my chance to run it out a little bit further. I can at least write out my to-do. So host the salon. Maybe we'll do that after the guest, though. Which is not bad because we'd usually start it at lunch anyway. Read Golden Afternoons. Okay, so Disciplines of the Hammer needs to get to... I think they need to get to 4. Wait a minute, did I mess this up? No, we're fine. Okay. So yeah, Disciplines of the Hammer to 4, Ragged Crossroads to 5. We've already got Auroral Contemplations to 6. For Skolakosophy, I need a 4 and a 3. I should have been messing with Sand Stories, actually. So Sand Stories to 4. Mind you, Sand Stories was going to be Rose and Moon, so I didn't have the options for those anyway. Okay, so here is a 1 hour, and it is the Moth. So here's the general plan. So when I take a look at the highest priorities books for me to read right now would be it's one book specifically. It's the Child's Treasury of Golden Afternoons. That's because that is the last text that houses a Newman that I have not yet read. So we've read The Sky and the Scar, we've read The Sun Disfigured, Shredik Book of Suns, The Three and the Three, the St. Chiavi manuscript, or possibly Chiavi manuscript, The Turquoise Hand, Toward a Fundamental Aesthetic, both editions, first and second, The Amerinus Batelli, Sun's Design, Serpent Root, Coprolith Amphalos, and The Writing on the Wall. So all of these have been read. The ones that are relevant to my ending are either The Final Understanding or that Old Lost Music. I get to pick between the two. And what was I going to say? So there's a couple of goals that I want to move towards for the playthrough here. So the one challenge here is to try and figure out what I'm going to do with the Lighthouse Institute. I took a look there. I did notice that there's something in the save file that does seem to correspond to the Lighthouse Institute, but I don't know if it's enough that I'm going to be able to sort of poke it to do a thing that I want. I'll look into that, but that might be something I send to support. If we play this past Christmas, and it seems like Weather Factory is sort of back on their regular run. If I can't figure it out on my own, I might send an email just to see if there's something I can do. If not, I mean, it's fine. But this will make a slightly awkward session in the sense that I've got everything that I need for an ending, a traditional ending, but I haven't engaged fully with the Lighthouse Institute stuff, right? So we've done some further stories, but we haven't done everything that we need. So there's a couple plans that I have for that. right now I have one further story that is actually looking for specific books. So one of the ways I'm going to be able to make some decisions about the books will be to actually read the remaining ones. Oh, shame on me. Green Jasper Tablet is Impulse, I believe. Oh, you monsters. All right. There's got to be a way that we can fit another book on here. Absolute madness. Okay. Let's see if I can... Wow, okay. Really thought I could fit you in there. Oh. How do I do this? Because this is becoming my new... These impulses are becoming my new intuitions. Okay, I think the time has come to rip the Band-Aid off. So... we're going to take Glimmering... we're going to put that somewhere else. Between the two, let's put the intuitions in... oh, I don't think it's going to be enough room. I mean, it's close, but we have 3 more books to add still. All right. It's a good try. So, let's say this is Contradictions. Okay, so that's a start. Now, for a dedicated shelf, I'm not super convinced we have better alternatives here, but here's what I'm going to do. This will be the new Intuitions shelf. Ah! This is so frustrating. All right. That worked? All right, I won't question it. I don't think I'm going to find a super shelf to handle all of these Forge books, so I'm not even going to try. Okay, so if I wanted to find a new home for, let's say, the Confounding Parables... that's going to be 8. This doesn't really feel right as a bookshelf. I mean, maybe I'd have my first playthrough where Elopolis Nook actually is a bookshelf. I wonder if I can fit 8 on here. Doesn't really look like it, does it? But let's see. Why do I even think that's going to work? Okay. I really thought I was going to be able to make some progress on this, but I think I'm just going to have to accept. I'll put Glimmerings back on the shelf, and then what I'll do is I'll make a note that the green jasper tablet has an impulse, and I will I'll give myself an organizational IOU. I guess the one thing I am happy about is we are at least, in terms of free books kind of running around, it's only the green jasper tablet now. And I feel like there's a way that I can make something of the of this shelf here. So okay, so not ideal, but we will manage. The big problem here is I'm a little particular in terms of items. So I can store books here, but I really only store them when they're like cursed. It feels a little weird to make an Elopolis Nook an area for books, especially because like there's only a few. Although maybe like Perugian, maybe like some of the song books or something like that might be appropriate. What would Perugian Diaries look like shelved? And that fits. Okay, I can see this happening. So let's say I took any of the books with songs, and I put them in Elopolis Nook. What would that free up? I mean, mostly just little hidey holes. I guess Salt could move to... Yeah, Salt could move to this shelf. Couldn't fit the... Couldn't fit the Confounding Parables, though. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's still some steps for me to take in terms of freeing up enough space. So Librarian's Quarter is going to have all the Newman texts. I think probably what I'm going to have to do is make a decision in terms of which of these serves as a new library. So I could clear out the sand and maybe... Well, even then, right, we have like the Sacrament Callicite and such. Perhaps the Iron Vault might be good for some of the more limited texts, but again, I'm running all over the library to find those. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna need to have a think about this, but we're gonna have to wrap it up for tonight. I am gonna be exhausted. Tomorrow on tomorrow's stream, but I do appreciate all of you hanging out. So my expectation, I'm definitely going to try and get myself sorted out on tomorrow, like just try and get an early rest or whatever. I'm going to be at work, so I'm sure I will be quite tired by the end of all of it. But I'm going to take tomorrow for myself. I'll see if I can figure out what I'm doing with the stories on Christmas. I am expecting calls from family, so I'm going to do my best to get those out of the way, but it's ultimately up to them in terms of when they're going to reach out. But once I sort of think that I'm not going to be interrupted in terms of the stream, I will go live. I will try to communicate as early as I can, but I'm hoping sometime in the afternoon. It may be the early evening. It'll definitely not be a late stream like I have been doing lately. And hopefully we'll do at least one story, and then we might play some games or something like that again. It depends on how people are feeling. The aim of the Christmas stream is always just for folks who may not have something else that they're doing, or otherwise just want to hear a friendly and inoffensive Canadian voice to give them something to listen to on the holidays. So whether or not you're able to make it, there'll always be a VOD of these sorts of things if you want to hear the story. But mostly this is just a chance for people who are not feeling like they have anything else to do to give them an option for Christmas. So in the... what else are we doing for the week? Let me just double check that I'm not committing myself to too much. So yes, Friday is the 27th. That's not a holiday, so I will be streaming on the 27th, assuming that we don't do any more Book of Hours on Wednesday, and I think that's less likely. So 27th will be where we implement all of the plans for that we talked about today. And then just a reminder, Monday is not a holiday. I think I might be taking Monday off for my... No, hang on. Yeah. I'll be in work on Monday. However, next Wednesday, so basically a week from now, a little more than a week from now, that is New Year's. I'm going to be taking that for myself. And then I am taking a couple days off at work, but I will try to be streaming on the 3rd, because I know there have been a few days that I haven't streamed because of just other commitments. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you everybody for watching. Sorry for such a scrambled stream, but it was pleasant to see quite a few of you in the stream over the course of the day. The final thing to do is to see if there's anybody that we can host. Alright, I know I've been hosting him a lot, but Kilgore Trout is streaming the Terminator Future Shock. Sorry, I did not double check. Do we have anybody streaming Book of Hours? Just me. Yes, okay. We're rating Kilgore because he's available. And that's the only reason. All right. I really should have thought this through. We're going to have to wait for the timer to go down. I already said thank you, but I'll say thank you again. I'm tired. I hope you all had a nice evening. I hope if I don't get a chance to say so on Wednesday, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. And I look forward to seeing you for some more Book of Hours and perhaps a little bit more variety in the new year. But until then, take care. See you in the next one. Bye.